A front-page Washington Post story says that grassroots conservative activists are still trying to block Donald Trump's nomination at the Cleveland convention with a scheme to free the delegates to vote however they want. Really? Joining us now is Brit Hume, Fox's senior political analyst and former Washington managing editor. Brit, should the media continue to give plenty of airtime to these never-Trump types who still insist that this nomination battle isn't over?
Well, I think these stories are legitimate stories, but I don't think they're front-page stories. I mean, I think that the real story is that things are moving in Trump's direction. His effort to woo conservatives is making progress, and you can see things that's the drift of things. There was a question of will Paul Ryan ever support him. We'll now concede that Paul Ryan eventually will. The NRA endorsement is further proof of that. The list of Supreme Court potential nominees that he put out went a long way with a lot of conservatives. So that's the main story, that he's doing pretty well in that effort. And
the other thing is more like a sidebar.
No, it's a sidebar story. Yeah.
In that same vein, your old Fox colleague Bill Kristol, Mitt Romney, Tom Coburn, Senator Ben Sasse, and others about putting together some kind of conservative third-party challenge. Should journalists portray this as being, I don't know, a little bit desperate?
Well, I think it's an extreme long shot the way it looks now. The people interviewed, none of them has really shown any interest in
nobody's raised their hand and said, I'll do it.
I'll do it. And, obviously, you wouldn't do it unless you thought there was a real chance it might work, or unless you had some other reason for wanting to be a presidential candidate with whatever attention you can get from it. But I just think I don't know whether we ought to call it desperate, but anybody reporting it should be clear from reading the facts about it what a long shot it is, and I think basically that's true.
Okay. Now, we have the spate of recent polls, Fox News polls, New York Times polls showing Donald Trump in a hypothetical matchup against Hillary up 2 or 3 points. There are other polls showing Hillary by a few. And so my question is, the media geniuses who all said that Donald Trump is not going to win this nomination, are they now having to take Trump more seriously after basically saying if he did get the nomination, he would be clobbered?
Well, obviously so. I mean, I think a lot of people didn't expect that what would happen after he got the nomination pretty well locked up, that he would begin to rise in the polls in the way that he has. And of course, it also comes at a time when Hillary Clinton's troubles and weaknesses as a candidate are on full display. She's clearly overwhelmingly likely to win this nomination, and yet she can't shake Bernie Sanders, and she's contending with him pushes her to the left, which makes long-term prospects a little more difficult. So all of this comes at as a kind of a perfect storm. Candidates often do get a bounce when the nomination is secured, even if it's not formal yet.
So there's a Trump bump.
So there's a Trump lift, and Hillary's having a tough time.
Right.
And so he's ahead in some polls, a little behind in some. It's basically a tie right now, I think it's fair to say. And I think, we really don't know what it's look like once she gets free of Sanders and can focus all her attentions on him, and once the Democratic Party's attack machine, which will be in full cry, is loosed on him, we'll have to see what happens.
No, polls this early are very ephemeral. I sense a little shift in the media mindset about Donald Trump, at least his ability to unify the GOP.